of Tucker Carlson and the potential of Tucker Carlson going to prison. Okay, now let me give you a little bit of some synopsis of what's going on here, right? Prior to the Iranian war, Tucker Carlson visited Donald Trump. Now, for those of you that don't know, he's been a longtime friend of Donald Trump and has certain privileges with the president. Just like Jake Paul, he had certain privileges with the president. You've obviously seen him do an interview with Jake Paul, and Jake Paul was introduced to a Kentucky crowd by Donald Trump only for Donald Trump to potentially endorse a future political career for Jake Paul. Okay? So that is what you would call privilege. Having the president as your friend, and that could be anybody, okay? That could absolutely be anybody. For example, if I was president, right? Not that I would ever want to be president, but in a hypothetical scenario, okay? I could have the homies come through the White House. I could have my family come through the White House. I could have all of you who are in my chat come to the White House, and we could hang out and have a grand old time, all right? That is a presidential privilege. That is what Tucker Carlson has going on. So he gets invited to the White House by President Trump, and he finds out that Iran is about to be attacked, okay? As soon as he finds this out, all of a sudden, there have been calls that he's made towards the Iranians, because he's a journalist. This is what he does. He talks to everybody. He'll tell you himself. He felt like there was no malicious harm in leaking out any secrets or anything like that. And as a result, he had decided, you know what? Why not talk to the Iranians, see what is going on? Now, somewhere down the lines, they found Tucker Carlson divulging information that he shouldn't have. That's right, Marty. We are back. Victory right there. He says, we are back. I just responded to your Dustin Poirier comment right now. Yes, he was on JRE, Dustin Poirier, saying that he pitched an idea to Zuffa Boxing about wanting to fight in a boxing match, right? Specifically for Zuffa Boxing. And they sort of turned down that idea for whatever reason, right? They turned down that idea because they want to be taken seriously. And I understand that. I understand that they want to be, taken seriously, right? As a boxing organization, you already have Eddie Hearn saying that, hey, you know what? You're not a real boxer, or you're not a real boxing promotion. You guys are wankers, or this, that, and the other. You know how English people, say a whole bunch of, different disses and whatnot. But yeah, they want to be taken seriously, and you're right. From what I told you, it does extend an MMA fighter's career when they get older, because I tell you what, man, whenever I train boxing, as somebody who's had long hours in the mat training MMA and Muay Thai and kickboxing, boy, let me tell you, it is so easy when I get in there and put on those 8-ounce gloves and all we're doing is just throwing hands all day. It's the easiest thing in the world. But I tell you what, another thing about it is, yeah, they want to be taken seriously, so they're obviously going to reject him about it, but it also does preserve your body longer, and you will see bigger names in MMA have longer careers. Like, for example, Anderson Silva going into boxing. Tyron Woodley, even though he's not really fit to be a boxer, right? What? What was that?
I'm trying to get some gas to get out of this area, because I don't live here. I live over by IE and Watt. I'm on empty, and I have a drill, the drill I got, or I got some saws, quarter saws, and whatever else I got,
Okay, yeah.
Tool-wise, all I have is tools. That's all I do is tools.
Yeah. Hey, you want to say hi to my chat? I'm live on a live stream right now.
Somebody gave me some money for doing it.
What's that?
They gave me money for doing that. But it was somebody's birthday one day, and they were saying, hey, happy birthday, hey, how you doing?
Yeah, man.
I was on the street.
Hey, sorry, bro. I don't have any
You don't have a
cash
car,
on me.
you can maybe give like $10 in gas, and I'll give you the drill, man. I'll give it back.
No. I don't
Buy
want
the
any
drill.
drill, brother. Thank you, man. Thank you. But
Yeah.
thank you for appearing on my live stream, though, man. Thank you, man.
You want to say something?
What's that?
You
Want to say something?
You want me to?
Well, okay. How about this, right? What is your opinion on Trump's job as a president right now?
Okay. My opinion on Trump's job as a president is I think he's going in full force, and he's doing it the way he's supposed to do it. He's supposed to take over the command, and he's supposed to take over this country like he is the president. Does that work?
Oh, sorry. Yes. Sorry. Go ahead.
So Trump needs to get a little bit more tough with his actions, because he's already tough as it is. He doesn't listen to anybody. He talks for himself, and he says what he wants to say. So Trump, his actions over the country, he's doing a good job. I believe that he's supposed to do what he's supposed to do. He's supposed to tell the people what they want to hear, and he's supposed to take action on any other countries that are involved in attacking or anything like that. So we have to back him. You know what I mean? Back up Trump. You can't just go against him as he's the president while we're having a war here or there.
Yeah.
You cannot do that. You got to give him his props and say, okay, you're the president, take care of it. And he's been doing it. He's been speaking out of his own mouth, coming out of his own mind, and he's telling the public what they really need to hear. And that's what they need to hear, that he's taking action on what's going on.
Do you think that he should send his son, Barron Trump? You know, he's a big boy, really strong, 6'7", soccer standout. So that means he's a real good athlete.
Right.
Could he be an asset to, let's say, the U.S. Army or maybe the Marine Corps? Well, what would you approve
think he
of?
would be probably a good asset if he could make the cut of 100. 1 out of 100 makes the Navy SEALs or in that area, but he could be more of a special ops guy. But he's got that athlete appearance. You know what I mean? He can get in and get out. He's good. If he's a fast runner, it all depends
soccer player.
Yeah,
Obviously, he's a soccer standout. Yeah.
So he could probably go in there and probably help out. Yeah, I would say so. Yeah.
All right. Well, go ahead. Anything else you wanted to say?
Well, I mean, if Trump's got a problem with his son going over there, then he shouldn't be the president.
There you go, right?
It says democracy, man, will send any man's son into the war.
There it is, man. And you know what? Even in England, they sent their princes to go fight in Iraq and Afghanistan. Prince Harry, Prince William, even King Charles himself served, right? And, and they're a British monarchy, sending their, their kids in harm's way. So, why not, right?
Well, that's what they call it. They call it democracy. The democracy of the whole situation is any man would give up his own son for democracy to let him fight in the war.
That's right.
If he comes back alive or he doesn't come back, it's all for democracy.
All right, man. Well, hey, thank you for your time, man. Thank you for that, brother. You know what I mean? My name's Kyrie, by the way. Check out my channel, Kyrie El-Kheer MMA, Sacramento, California represent. Kyrie, think of K and then Harry, right? You look me up on YouTube. You should be able to see me on that right there.
We don't even have a phone, man. Somebody took the phone the other day. I haven't had my phone for 5 days. I can't call nobody. I can't do anything. My brother lives over here somewhere. I don't know how to get a hold of him.
All right.
Somewhere downtown area.
All right, brother. Have a good one, man. Thank you. I don't have any. Sorry. Well, there it is, man. He says, just having a Trump icon still doesn't mean you got picked for you to lay down the pipe. Huh? Okay. That's interesting there. So, yeah, guys, the main story today, obviously, is Tucker Carlson, right? Is Tucker going to be arrested by the CIA for divulging information towards Iran? Now, the answer is we don't know, right? Now, obviously, the way that Tucker is sort of, the way that he's sort of, framing it is, he talks to everybody, right? This is what he does. He talks to everyone. It's what journalists do. But I don't know, man. It's a very tricky situation. What number is this? This is number 12. Okay. says, pray for unity. Well, depends what your definition of that is. Oh, thank you. 60 on number 12.
60 on 12?
Uh-huh.
Did you have Verify app?
What is that?
Do you have Verify app?
No.
Okay.
Thank you. All right. What did he ask here? He says, I'm curious what you open your fast with, like for iftar. Is it American food or, what do you call it? Yeah, just regular stuff, eggs, stuff like that. Nothing really, too fancy. Just, just eggs, potatoes, sometimes rice, a little bit of falafels here and there, just that's really about it, really. But what about you, Ali Khan? I would assume you probably open your fast with like biryanis or something like that, right? Yeah, that's what I would assume you probably open your fast with, right? Some biryani, a little bit of some, yeah, he said yesterday he had fried chicken. No, I didn't. What did I have yesterday? I'll tell you what I had yesterday. Beef soup. I had beef soup with spinach, bok choy, and potatoes inside of it, right? So also with bone marrow, right? So I kind of take the bone marrow and eat the bone marrow part of it too, because it gives you like, extra, extra protein. Yeah, you guys in the UK, you guys, don't eat very healthy. You know what I mean? The only people in the UK that eat healthy are like the athletes, the boxers, the MMA fighters, and the athletes overall. Other than that, yeah, you guys, eat horrible over there. At least some of the people that I know, a lot of chicken and rice. That's good too. That's good too. But just because you're eating chicken and rice, it doesn't mean that it's good, right? Like, for example, are you cooking it in vegetable oil? Obviously, if you're cooking it in vegetable oil, that's probably not good. If you're, cooking it in, let's say, other than, olive oil or something like that, right? If you're not cooking with that, man, you're not, cooking right at all. You know what I mean? Like, that's the biggest mistake that a lot of people make when it comes to, eating healthy food. He says, I count calories, but their food is organic. Yes, a lot of the food in the UK is, I would say, a whole lot more organic. You know what? King Charles actually did a very good job in sort of, getting rid of the nasty stuff that we have here. Sean Boy, shout out to you, my man. Shout out to you. All right, hold on. Let me get this gas right here. So, yeah, man, we're gonna go. He says, unlike here, yeah. Carlos VR says, what is this? No receipt. All right. I just paid for $60, right? It was on empty, $60, and then this is, yeah, I mean, $60 is literally what gets you a full tank right here. So it's pretty full tank right now. Obviously just $60. So he's like, it's crazy how alcohol is very expensive in Ireland, but organic food is very expensive. How much per gallon? Let me see here. Right here, let me show you right here. You see that? You think organic food would be cheap? It's good for you. Organic food in the United States is not cheap at all. You know what I mean? It is not cheap at all in the United States, you know? Like, you really have to spend, you know, out of your way to eat, you know, organic food because it's so hard to come by, right? So the fact that it's hard to come by, it makes it, you know, very, yeah, it makes it very difficult. Who dat 88 says, are you Muslim? Yes, I am. Would you happen to be Muslim by any chance? Toxic Gameplay says, why these random car streams do more views than official streams? You know what it is? Let me tell you why, right? The majority of people are introverts, okay? And the fact that the majority of people are introverts, like MMA Guru, he just sits in his studio all day, unless, of course, he's out doing fishing trips with Bryce Mitchell, and that's about the only thing that he does socially, right? Most people are scared to socialize, right? So when you see me, you see me that I go talk to random people, I don't give a damn. You know, this is not a YouTube persona that I got going on. You know, I'm really a highly volatile person. I'm also a very sociable person, but that volatility also comes with me being, you know, very confrontational. So you better believe that, you know, I could get really confrontational while I'm online. You know what I mean? He says, I'm sure you hate me. Why would I hate you? He says, no, sir, I'm Christian. You know what? I don't hate Christians at all. A lot of my moderators here are Christian. Victory is Christian. You know what I mean? I'm not, yeah, man, I don't hate Christians at all. He says, why do people say Allah married a child? Well, first of all, it's not Allah, it's Muhammad, peace be upon him, and no, he did not marry a child. That's a misconception. What they are talking about is meeting somebody that he ended up marrying later on in life when she was of, you know, a certain age, you know, and that was not 9 years old. That's like saying when you meet, like, okay, you see these old dudes that are with these young girls, right? They marry girls that are like, I don't know, in their 20s, in their 40s or whatever. You know, I mean, is there a possibility that they may have met this person, you know, or have been in the same community around this person when they were, let's say, you know, yay high? Of course. But the question is, what age did they marry them? And that's kind of, you know, the reality of the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. So, number one, it's not Allah, and it's not, Allah is God, first and foremost. God and Allah mean the same thing. Jason says, I am Catholic. Okay, well, shout outs to you, man. He says, I wonder what the Quran says. Well, here's the thing, right? The Quran doesn't talk about the life of the Prophet Muhammad. What the Quran talks about is the message that he sent to the Prophet Muhammad and the message the Prophet Muhammad sent to mankind. The Hadith is another story, right? The Hadith is a separate book that follows the chronological order of the Prophet Muhammad's life as written and documented by trusted scholars that were his companions. Sean Boy says the media keeps saying that happened. Of course the media keeps saying that. You have to understand something, right? As Muslims, we are going to be hated. And the reason why we're going to be hated is for the same reason why the Prophet Moses of his time were hated. The Prophet Moses, peace be upon him, was hated because he was preaching the monotheistic belief of God. He says, let's just say I wear a really small hat. Jason said, people read stuff different and understand things different, so they messed up the message. Correct. So yeah, there you go. Even Toxic Gameplays is a Christian, who dat. So yeah, I don't hate Christians at all, right? That's a big misconception that Muslims hate Christians. You know, in fact, under the Ottoman Empire and the last Islamic Caliphate, Christians lived in dignity under Muslim rule. You know, the only thing is that we urge you to pay taxes, you know, in our land, and that's not an unreasonable request, right? I'm sure, you know, you as Americans, or rather we as Americans, would like people to come pay their taxes when they come here, right? I mean, that's not an unreasonable request. And that's for all sorts of religions. Sean Boy says, I asked him, but isn't that haram in Islam? He said yes, but I'm not perfect. No one is, said, you're right. What's haram in Islam? Being friends with Christians, or what exactly do you mean? Let me know. But yeah, you know, that those are just some misconceptions that you know, that we're trying to clear up there. But yeah, man. So once again, Tucker Carlson, man, they're investigating him right now. What are the chances that the reason why they're investigating him is because of his anti-Israel stance? He says, why didn't you buy that man a little gas? Dude, that's... Here's the thing, right? Marty, here's something you got to understand. As Muslims, we're not allowed to broadcast our charity. You know what I mean? Like, what do I look like broadcasting my charity to the world? You understand? Like, yeah, I'm gonna just leave it at that, right? Like, I'll put it like this, right? Allah is not like people that boast about their charities. So this is the way that I look at it, right? You can either think that I'm the worst person in the world for not giving a charity to anybody, or you could think that, you know, I give charity and that people don't know. I'd rather you not know. You understand? He says, I totally respect that, because I hate when people do that for the camera and ask you, it was a genuine encounter. Look, let me ask you something, man. The guy is coming up to me with a gold chain on, okay? Now look, I've been around jewelry before, okay? I can't really determine whether that's real or not, right? I mean, yeah, I've been around jewelry before, but, you know, I never bought jewelry on my own, so I can't really tell whether that is or it isn't. Wow, that's a big dog right there. Dang, okay. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, dude, I'm not going to do that for the camera, dude. You know, because you know what's going to happen if I do that for the camera. I know it's a genuine encounter, but then you guys are going to be like, well, you know, that Kyrie's a great guy. Okay, well, how about this? What if I don't want you to know that I'm a great guy? You understand? Like, what if I don't want to show that to you? What if I would rather, you know, just, you know, let you think what you want to think? He says he wanted it in his car, Aaron. He says he would sell the gas for Aaron, come on, man. Yeah, like, come on. I know you're trying to defend the guy, but yeah, he was a nice guy. Yeah, man. Look, that's between me and Allah, is all I gotta say. He says a gold chain, but doesn't have $10. That's what I'm saying, bro. Okay, so dial up. You understand what I'm saying, right? Like, yo, you can't be suckers for these dudes, you know, as well. Okay, you got a gold chain on. Okay, you got tattoos on your chest. Okay, which means you got a little bit of money, right? They were not prison tattoos. Okay, I know what prison tattoos look like. They were tattoos that were done by, you know, a legitimate artist. Okay, so I don't know, man. Like, you want me to feel bad for a guy that has a gold chain? He says, when MMA was here, he was handing out hygiene bags in Miami. When MMA, you mean MMA Guru? He said, yeah, gold chain doesn't have $10, right? He says, all I'm saying is your nemesis probably would fill up his gas tank. Yeah, because MMA Guru is, you know, he's a virtue signaling artist. On top of that, he's a fake-ass dude. You know what I mean? Of course he's going to do that. Of course MMA Guru is going to do that for every one of you. But think of it like this, right? I have my... Okay, that's first and foremost or anything like that. Like, if I had cash in my hand, that's one thing. But I'm going to leave that alone. You know, I'm just going to say that, listen, I'm going to leave that alone because, you know, it is what it is. I didn't give him any gas. Okay, big deal. You know, I'm a bad guy. Great. You know, villainize me. You know, I'm already the heel of MMA YouTube anyway. You know what I mean? Like, did you guys think like I'm the good guy of MMA YouTube? You know what I mean? And by the end of the day, look, I stand by that. That's between me and Allah. Workshop says no one wants you to feel bad. Stop feeling bad. Feeling bad for people makes you human, and you must stop trying to be human. Dial-up says, nah, Victory, take it to the extreme. Let me drain a bank account for a dude with a gold chain. Nah, homie. Yup, exactly. Workshop says, can you speed up, drive a little faster, please? Yeah, how about no? He says, I'm not criticizing you, man. I just asked. I get it. Yeah. It's all good. You know, I'm not, I know you're not criticizing at all. It's, you know, it's perfectly fine. Hold on. I got to shut out the camera for, private reasons. But I get what you're saying. You know, I'm not mad at the question. In fact, I'm actually glad that you asked the question. You know, that's the best way to put it. I'm really glad that you asked the question because, you know, that is an important question, not just Islamically, but also for the show itself. You know what I mean? To kind of give... There it is, guys. You know what I mean? Nowhere in YouTube will you see me have, you know, these random encounters. You know what I mean? I mean, like, look, you know, that dude the other day, the rapper that I ran across, right? Like, that right there was also a genuine encounter, right? So from now on, every time that me and this guy, you know, link up, you know, we will always remember that day, you know, because it was, you know, absolutely a genuine interaction. So, you know, there it is. Oh, Dial-Up says greetings. Yeah, greetings. That's what I'm saying. You're absolutely right about that, right? Like, I'm not going to go and drain my account over a dude I don't know that has a gold chain. And yeah, man, just a certain level of assessing danger, you know, at that, you know? But it is what it is. It is what it is, guys. Hold on, I'm going to be back on camera in a second. So bear with me here. Because not only are we going to talk about the Tucker Carlson situation, the other subject that I wanted to talk about with this live stream is Ronda Rousey calling for a fighter revolution. Dial-Up says, it's crazy Muslims believe Jesus spoke as a baby. I always knew about chapter 19, but didn't know that. Yup. All right. We're about to get the light started right now. Boom. There we go. Back in home base, guys. All right. Just a second. I got to go grab my laptop and then we'll get started. Well, I mean, we did already get started. What am I saying? But yeah, he says Ronda was afraid of her. Trump must repent. That's a crazy thing to say. What must he repent by? Not that I'm disagreeing with you. Cole Old says, remember that Brazilian fighter Santos who said her husband makes her take steroids? Dang. Dial-Up says, yeah, Islamo-Christian is more accurate term than Judeo-Christian, Old Testament or not. There you go. What did he says? Binya says, I support Israel. Okay, well, that's your God-given right to do so. Hold on, let me go grab my laptop real quick. Yeah, so Marty's talking about how my nemesis, MMA Guru, would give that guy gas. But here's the thing, right? Here's something you got to understand about MMA Guru. MMA Guru has only been a millionaire for 1 year. Okay, he is new money. You know what would have happened to him if he gave that guy gas? He would have gotten his whole entire bank account drained. Okay? That's what would have happened. He would have had his whole bank account drained, and now he would have to go and stream, every day. I mean, not that, you shouldn't stream every day, but he would, be crunching, to get that money back. I'm not going to do that. You know what I mean? I'm not going to do that. There's a reason why people are in the position that they're at, and then there's a reason why some people are not, because, they just don't understand the security risk that comes with that. I'm not going to do something because I want to create a feel-good moment on the internet. You know what I mean? I ran across the guy knocked at my window, and I figured, you know what? You're trying to exploit me. You understand? Like, let's really think about this, right? This man's trying to exploit me. I don't know him from a can of paint. He's got a gold chain on. He's asking me, to give him gas, right? Which I told him I don't carry cash on me. And there's a reason why I don't carry cash on me. I'm not some dumb rapper, okay, who goes and, flosses, my money around thinking like, somehow that's going to make me look even more rich. I don't care about looking rich. As a matter of fact, I'd rather look broke to some of you, but whatever, you know what I mean? That's the reality of it. He says basic history tells us who is lying. I voted for Trump and support Persia in this. Saying you support Persia is censored by Netanyahu. Yeah, yep. So, all right, let's get back to this Tucker Carlson thing, right? What is going on with Tucker Carlson? What is going on with Tucker Carlson right now? Okay, the CIA is exposing, or rather, Tucker Carlson is exposing, certain things about the CIA. He says Islam, the bad guy for the military-industrial complex. That's a game here. I won't buy it. Facts. All right, so here's what's going on, right? I need you guys to understand this, right? Tucker Carlson has not yet been arrested, okay? That's important to understand, okay? Now, there are criminal referral claims stemming from March 14, 2026. Tucker claimed that the CIA has been reading his private text messages, and they are preparing for a criminal referral to the Department of Justice. He alleged that the referral is based on supposed violations of what you would call the Foreign Agents Registration Act, okay, also known as FARA, F-A-R-A, due to his communication with individuals in Iran, okay? There was an airport incident back in February 2026 where Carlson claimed he was detained by security in Ben Gurion Airport, okay? And this was Israel following an interview with U.S. Ambassador Mike Huckabee, okay? So, however, the Israeli airport's authorities and the U.S. Embassy spokesperson denied that there was any intentions going on, any type of detention going on. There was no detention, stating that he underwent routine passport control questions applied to many visitors. And by the way, this is true. My mom, okay, who's not a Muslim, I need you guys to understand this, okay? My mom's not a Muslim, okay? Went to Israel. She's visited Israel before, okay? By the way, well, I'm not going to get, into that, but she's visited Israel before. When she's visited Israel, she was doing the same thing. She was asked questions. Now, the way that she explained it to me, it sounded like they were kind of interrogating her for, a long period of time, because I asked her the lines of questioning that they asked her, right? The way that it kind of comes across is, well, you have an Arab last name because, she took on, my dad's last name. By the way, here's another thing you guys are going to be shocked by, right? Under Orthodox Islamic beliefs, you're actually not supposed to take your husband's last name. because you don't come from their family. You know what I mean? Like, imagine that, right? Obviously, you in the Western world, you do it, right? So, you know, let's say your last name is Smith or Miller. So, in turn, your wife is going to be a Smith and Miller. But the reality is, she's not a Smith or a Miller, okay? Your brother is a Smith or a Miller. Your brother is a Miller. Your father is a Miller. Your, you know, maybe your cousins. But anyways, that's neither here or there. And we certainly don't do what Ian Gary does, right? Changing your last name to your wife's last name, let alone your wife's ex-husband last name if it gets any weirder than that. Horse Lynch says, I'm drinking coffee looking at my Donald Trump picture on the wall. Okay, what kind of picture is it? Let me know. He says, Tucker saved his own life by being so paranoid. Those boys would have taken him out. All right, so support and speculation on this, right? Carlson's recent visit claims about a potential arrest sparked significant social media speculation and public pushback, okay, from allies like Candace Owens, because you know Candace Owens is an absolute troublemaker when it comes to this particular topic, okay? So let's get to some fact checks right here, right, by the Sunday Guardian. The Sunday Guardian. Okay, let's see what the Sunday Guardian says here. Okay. Fact check. Will Tucker Carlson be arrested? Explosive CIA referral claims and text surveillance. So here's the thing, right? If you're speaking to a foreign adversary of the United States, they have every right to look into what it is that you have going on. That's just what it is. I know you guys don't like to hear that. I know that sounds very un-American, right, to your constitutional rights, but that's the law. At least that is the law within, you know, the military world, within the military the military intelligence world. You cannot escape that. So he spoke to Trump, and as a result of speaking with Trump, he obviously spoke with Iranian officials for whatever reason. He said, Daniel Garrett says, do you think you can recognize when you're sounding anti-American? What do you mean by that? Explain what was sounding anti-American by that. Like saying that the CIA has the right to listen into your phone calls? Yes. If you're speaking to a foreign adversary, they have the right to listen into your phone calls. Okay? Now, if you espouse certain opinions about, let's say, Israel or, you know, the allies of the United States, maybe even Saudi Arabia or whatever, right? You have every right to speak on those subjects. You have every right to speak on those subjects, but you don't have the right to divulge information when you are given presidential privilege, which is what Tucker Carlson had going on. That's just what it is. That's just the reality of things. You cannot do that. Daniel Gray says a Trump voter is beyond reachable. I agree. I think there has to come a time where Trump supporters need to realize, you know what? Maybe you're wrong about something. You know, maybe you're wrong about something. Maybe you are wrong about X, Y, and Z, right? But they'll never admit that. So that's the unfortunate thing about it. Let's hear what Tucker Carlson had to say about this, right? Dial-Up says, I am a Trump voter. I seem to have a lot of Trump supporters as my audience, but then again, I also have a lot of Tucker Carlson audience as well, and that is indicative of the fact that, you know, I am a Muslim guy, right? Naturally, I'm going to be critical against Israel, and as a result of that, Tucker Carlson is extremely critical against Israel, and with, you know, the right reasons. Daniel Garrett says, we have the right to speak to whoever the F we want about whatever we want. Anything less than that is a total freedom and fascism, and it's coming from you folks. My man, Daniel, you cannot talk to Iran about what you and the president talked about. You don't see anything wrong with that? I mean, in a normal world outside of diplomacy and espionage, okay, that seems pretty normal, but Donald Trump is the president of the United States, okay? He's not talking to you about his pro wrestling experience with Stone Cold Steve Austin. He's not talking about, he says, a Muslim Trump supporter. Now I seen it all. No, dude, this has nothing to do with being a Trump supporter, Daniel Garrett. This has absolutely nothing to do with being a Trump supporter. This, and you know what? I'm not even saying that Tucker Carlson should be arrested. I'm not even saying that. What I'm saying is that you cannot talk to a foreign adversary about what you and Trump talked about when it came to the wars of Iran. Now, here's the thing. We don't know what Tucker Carlson said to the Iranians. Only the CIA knows, right? But for whatever reason, the CIA wants to look into him. But you also have to understand, okay? I'm going to meet you halfway on this, Daniel Garrett. There is probable cause to believe that Tucker Carlson is being discriminated due to his anti-Israel stance. That's a possibility, is it not? That is a possibility. So it's a possibility that he's being investigated under bad faith. He says, Indians, Itians for Trump. Do you mean Christians? Or he says, yeah, Trump is an embarrassment. I agree to a certain extent. Yeah, I agree to a certain extent. But we have to question, you know, how much of it is he causing, and yeah, and whatnot. So that's one thing we have to, you know, really be cognizant of, right? How much of this is his fault, and yeah. So, all right, let's hear what Tucker Carlson had to say. Okay, Tucker Carlson addresses the investigation.
Get two for just $6. Only at Del Taco.
Getting hard and getting turned on are
I found out that the CIA is preparing some kind of criminal referral against me, a crime report, to the Department of Justice on the basis of a supposed crime I committed. What's that crime? Well, talking to people in Iran before the war. They read my texts. So the crime under consideration apparently would be the Foreign Agent Act or something like that, acting as an agent of a foreign power. And I don't expect this to go anywhere. I'm not too worried about an actual criminal case again.
Okay, so I agree with him. I don't think this is really going to go much anywhere, right? I think that this is going to be very limited in what they are going to try and do. I think that there's going to be no follow-up to it. And then they're going to find out that, you know what, Tucker Carlson didn't really divulge any compromising information.
Against me for a
He says, I don't give an F what effer Carlson had to say in neither should anyone else on the planet. He says, good luck with your nonsense. I mean, dude, what are you so angry about, Daniel? You know, can you please explain to me what you're so angry about? You know, I get so many angry people that come here for different reasons, right? Your anger comes from a completely different place than what others are being angry about, right? You're angry about the fact that what? I'm giving nuances to this particular story, that I'm somehow trying to get the side of not only Tucker Carlson, but the CIA, trying to understand both sides. Now, look, I'm not saying Tucker Carlson should be arrested. I'm not saying that at all. Man, I come from, you know, a street background. I definitely don't want to see anybody arrested, okay? And certainly not Tucker Carlson, okay? So what is the problem? I don't want to see him get arrested. And by the way, the probability of him getting arrested is very low. There's a low chance of him getting arrested. So I don't know what the problem is. He says ostriches get angry when they have to pull their head out of the ground. Okay, is that in reference to Daniel Garrett? Joe says, if we're talking about war, we're not talking about the Epstein files. He says a street background. Yeah, River, I don't think you understand who I am or, you know, who I'm affiliated with, but yeah. Blue Baron says moonface. I don't understand exactly what that means, but okay.
Bunch of reasons. One, I'm not an agent of a foreign power. Unlike a lot of people commenting on U.S. politics and global affairs, I have only one loyalty, and that's the United States.
All right, so there you go. He says he has one loyalty, and that's the United States. He says, who are you affiliated with? Antifa? I mean, look, I'm getting you up out of here. This is a stupid question. This is a really stupid question right here. You're up out of here, bro. I'm sorry. I'm not going to deal with your stupidity and and your questions in bad faith. You know what I mean? What I'm trying to say is that I don't want to see anybody go to prison. You know what is so unreasonable about that? And yes, I happen to know a lot of gangsters in California. So and then you want to say in bad faith, who are you affiliated with, Antifa? I'm like, why would a Muslim be? Look, I'm not going to entertain idiots. Okay, that's it. I'm not going to entertain idiots. He says trolls under the bridge every time. Trolls always come out when you're trying to build bridges. Yep. Blue Baron says here, he's from the streets, brah. Blue Baron says he's from the streets, brah. Half Man says, however, ambition, like all disordered passions, can come in an uncontrolled fire that's only extinguishable after it burns down everything in its path. Okay.
As you just heard, Tucker Carlson is alleging that the CIA has been spying on him, reading his text messages, and essentially preparing some sort of criminal case against him that the DOJ will go after him for, essentially framing him as some sort of unregistered foreign agent. Now, as we all know, Tucker Carlson has been a target of the pro-Israel crowd because of the fact that he's been a vocal critic of the U.S. alliance with Israel, along with Israel's genocide in Gaza. But more importantly, Tucker Carlson has lobbied pretty aggressively to prevent the U.S. war against Iran. Unfortunately, he didn't succeed, but it has made him a target. Jake, your 2 cents?
In a stunning coincidence, you're about to see that Israel First is ecstatic over this, but probably had nothing to do with this case starting in the first place. How many assets of Israel are in our government? That's a really important and interesting question.
And that is an important question, right? Tucker Carlson said, I only have one loyalty, and that is to the United States. Unlike some people out there who have multiple affiliations with different people. He says, TYT has gotten way better, less captured by hateful psychosis. I would agree. Look, right now, the Democrats or the liberal news media is winning right now when it comes to, this war coverage.
And then you have to wonder if Tucker does get arrested, are we next?
Oh, there'll be riots, by the way. Like, the unrest that will ensue will be significant. But nonetheless, here's more of what Tucker had to say.
I have only one loyalty, and that's the United States, and have never acted against it. Its interests are the only interests I care about because I'm from here and I have a lot of kids. So that's not a concern. I've also never taken money from anybody. Don't need it, don't want it, and that's provable. And moreover, it's my job to talk to everybody all the time and try to figure out what's happening around the world. That's literally what I do for a living. And I'm not going to stop doing that. Nor should I don't think. I'm also an American, so I can talk to anybody. I have no...
You're right. You're allowed to talk to anybody. You're also a civilian. But you want to know who I really blame above all this, right? It's Trump. Okay, first of all, why would you invite a civilian? Why would you invite a civilian in the White House and divulge information of what's going on in Iran? All right, and knowing that he is a media superstar, right? Tucker Carlson is a superstar in the media world, right? So he's going to run with his information and talk about it. Why would you do that? Dial-Up says, chapter 19 of the Quran is our middle ground, Blue Baron. Okay. John says, nobody but Netanyahu wants this war. Think outside of the cult. Yup. Christian and Muslims need to find middle ground. Yes. Because it's a dumbass war. What the F? Yup.
Secrets to divulge. So legally, I think the case is ludicrous, and I doubt it'll even become a case. I'm bringing this up for a couple of reasons, though, and they're pretty obvious. One is that countries tend to become more authoritarian in wartime. It's just the nature of war. People are dying. The stakes are high. People's emotions have risen to a very high point, to a crescendo. And so there's much less tolerance for any kind of dissent in the homeland. The irony, of course, is the United States fights wars on behalf of freedom, but there's always less of it here in our country during war.
I would like to dispel the notion that we get involved in wars for freedom. Okay, that's not what's happening here, obviously. But also, just a quick note on the whole idea of people engaging in anti-Israel commentary because they're getting paid to do it. Okay, for the pro-Israel crowd, at some point, you have to actually engage with the substance of what people are saying instead of just blowing it off at...
Victory says something about Tucker has always seemed fishy to me. You know what it is? He's a son of a CIA agent, right? And his dad also worked in, you know, the State Department. So he was around embassies a lot. He traveled around the world. I've met kids like this, right? I remember meeting a son of a diplomat of the Philippines, right? His name was Raul, right? The dude was a complete, like, weirdo. He was a weirdo, you know, because he's an international kid, right? You know, all international kids are weirdos, my man. You know, including myself, right? Until, you know, I started hanging out with, you know, some group of guys that, you know, really laced me up on some game. And then, you know, next thing you know, I got turned out by the West Coast culture, you know what I mean? But yeah, you tend to be a weirdo when you travel around the world a lot, right? Tucker Carlson was no different. Military brats, kids of diplomats, right? People who work for the State Department, you know, kids whose fathers was in the CIA. You know, I've met people like that. Obviously, Raul, you know, his dad was a diplomat in the Philippines. When his dad lived in Australia, he had an Australian accent. When he moved to America, you know what he did? He started walking around school with Confederate flags. And I'm like, you know what? This is not a good look. You know, an Asian man, you know, obviously Filipino, but he looks, you know, very Chinese, right? You know, he's one of those Filipinos that look Chinese. It's not a good look. Okay, a China-looking man running around with a Confederate flag in high school. I mean, it's just, you know, it's embarrassing, honestly. But he was a weird kid, okay? When he was living in Australia, in Sydney, where his dad was stationed, you know, under the, what do you call it, under the orders of the Philippine government, he developed an Australian accent. Next thing you know, he comes to New Jersey. He's living in New Jersey, right? You know, he gets immersed into American culture, and he becomes a total weirdo. Like, what Asian kid is walking around with a Confederate flag shirt? You know what I mean? And then, of course, you know, it was obviously, you know, a serious embarrassment to his father because his father had to, you know, explain to him the historical context of what it meant to have a Confederate flag. So, let me read what my man here said. Yeah, Tucker is a brave man, Blue Baron says. Okay, Victory says, I could be totally wrong. I don't really have any facts to back that statement, just a gut feeling. No, your gut feeling is right, bro. He is kind of weird because, like I said, he grew up under the State Department, right? You know, he grew up American. He is American, but he didn't grow up totally in America, right? Like, he grew up as an American in the globalized world. And I can kind of understand, you know, kids that, you know, come from that background, you know, kids that come from that international background. Blue Baron says, you shouldn't base for judgment of someone's gut feeling. Well, his gut feeling isn't wrong because I know what he's talking about. And, you know, once again, I've seen kids like this. Tall Nether Paul says, it's not being a weirdo. You should change your vernacular. You're looking through a different lens, so you see things differently than a local. Okay, that is also very true. He says, my whole family are feds. They're all narcissistic sociopaths. Oh, wow. So do you think that their job in the federal government has something to do with them being narcissistic sociopaths? I'm kind of curious, you know, about that a little bit. You know what I mean? You know, very interesting you know, a revelation there, Paul. Paul says, you want to fit in. When I was a kid, I grew up in New York, and you have an Italian slang, but then when I moved to Indiana, he started saying some of the same words the same way. Okay. Victory says it's called discernment. Okay.
They're probably getting paid by Qatar. No, you don't want to address the substantive arguments that are being made, and that's obvious. Tucker Carlson is super wealthy. And even if he weren't...
And here's the thing, right? Your judgment is not wrong, Marty. Okay? Like, let's take a look at the facts, right? His dad was in the CIA. Automatically, you're going to be a weirdo, right? Because you're living in different parts of the world. On top of that, like, I don't know, man, the way that he laughed at, the whole, yeah, I can't believe Charlie Kirk got shot, like just completely desensitized like that. Victory says, I also don't trust Candace Owens, even though I agree with a lot of what she says, as well as you shouldn't. Obviously, look, this woman, is very unstable, right? Like most of them, you know what I mean? They're unstable. On top of that, she has, a strong stance, or rather, a strong leaning towards, wild conspiracies. And by the way, they found out Erica Kirk tried to send people to Epstein Island, so that's not going to go over well with TP USA, I would imagine. Yeah, so Cole Old says, I'm a Shia. We need to focus our energy on the enemies of Muslims, not on each other. He says, did you hear the story she told about her college friend that became a celebrity escort? All right, this is Erica Kirk you're talking about, right?
Super wealthy coming into media. His show is incredibly successful. He doesn't need to get paid by a foreign power in order to say the correct things he's been saying so far about Israel, our relationship with Israel, and this disastrous war.
Look, he made tens of millions of dollars at Fox News.
Okay, Candace was the one that said that? Okay.
No, the reason why they say that is because every Israeli accusation is a confession.
100%.
Israel literally pays influencers here $7,000 a pop. They are buying our media. Larry Ellison is, TikTok, CBS, CNN, etc.
They're not making good on those payments, by the way, and they're getting sued. But
okay, good. Oh, wow, the Israelis betrayed you. That is so stunning.
I love it.
Yeah, they didn't deliver on their promise of paying you, huh? Well, that is super, super surprising. So, yeah, they do that accusation because they think, well, why else would you do it? We're all crooks who serve Israel because we got paid to, and this is the politicians and the media. So they assume that others must also be doing that. No, there's a thing called patriotism. I know you don't know anything about it. And, you don't care about the truth, you don't care about Americans, but other people in this country actually love this country and care about it, and we don't want our troops dying, we don't want to waste our entire fortune on Israel, but since you're all crooks...
Yeah, and then we got 100 soldiers that have been unalived ever since, the Iran war.
To work for them, I know that's a foreign concept to you.
But even if you think that is the case, you still have to address the substance of the arguments that are being made. And it's just so lazy and so pathetic. The thing is, they don't have an argument. They can't refute the claims that are being made. So it's like, he's paid. It's Tucker Carlson, which... It's a little bit of a clever insult.
I don't think so at all. I think it sounds super dumb. Anytime somebody says Tucker Carlson, I think, that's a person literally being paid by Israel to betray him.
No, I think that too, but Carlson just sounds funny. That's all I'm saying. Okay. Now, as you said earlier, Cenk, there are certain people who were very happy to hear what Tucker said there, including Laura Loomer, unsurprisingly, who says, I can't wait to see Tucker Carlson go to prison.
Yeah, likewise. Yeah. Okay, not for Tucker. But one day, Laura, one day.
Even Israelis are weighing in on this. So Israel's special envoy for trade and innovation weighed in to give the Trump administration its orders. Tucker Carlson should be arrested and tried for treason.
Oh, we'll take it under consideration.
Yeah, that's
okay?
Israeli. How about you shut the F up?
How about anybody who listens to you should literally be arrested for treason because they would be a foreign agent taking orders from a foreign government.
Oh my God, yeah, the Israel said that they should look into Tucker Carlson, we should go do it. Oh my God, call the police. Yeah, remember earlier when I was talking about Mike Perry, right? Yeah, call the police. The police. Boom. Mike Perry went at him like that. Yeah. Cole Old says, yeah, support your Shia brothers in their fight against the enemies of Islam. Well, look, man, if you want my opinion on that, look, there's just a lot of differences between Sunni and Shia, right? And just because there's the enemies overlap and are the same, I don't know. I mean, look, it's controversial. I'd rather not go there.
You're charging Tucker Carlson with. Don't forget, Noble Mobile's saving you a ton of money. So a lot of people are signing up now and beginning to realize $50 literally which.
Point compiler Mark Caputo says that the White House denies Tucker's claims. Okay, so he says, specifically, I'm told there's no CIA investigation of Carlson. In his meeting, the two politely disagreed, meaning Tucker's meeting with President Trump. They disagreed, and Trump held to his position. Iran was a threat and didn't mislead him. Said one source, Trump wasn't participating in an op. Okay, so what is he referring to about Trump not participating in an op? I do believe that this, I don't know if Trump is part of it. I doubt it, right? But when we talk about the deep state, it does seem like there's some sort of concerted, organized attack against Tucker Carlson, because as soon as that video came out, there was a message that the pro-Israel crowd was putting out that was very similar, right? So let's go to Shabbos Kestenbaum. Okay, that's the former Harvard student who's a propagandist for Israel and one of the most dishonest and disgusting people I've ever had the displeasure of having to interact with. He says, on January 17th, I called a friend of mine at the White House to express concerns about Tucker Carlson visiting the Oval Office. Who the F are you?
Yeah,
to
who are you?
gatekeep who the president can talk to. Like, who are you? Okay, but let me continue. She answered rather cryptically, quote, just trust the plan. Little did I know, the plan meant, we know Tucker is speaking to the Iranians, so we're using him as a useful idiot to bait the Ayatollah and kill the IRCG leadership. Oh, and then we'll arrest him for espionage when this is over.
So wait, you're now coordinating with the White House, this Shabbos Shalom guy or whatever his name is.
Kestenbaum.
Okay, yeah. And so you guys are coordinating to figure out how to help Israel and catch an American media and use an American media guy as a casualty of your secret plan to help Israel, but he's the one working with a foreign government?
I know, it's amazing.
Shabbos has never defended any country but Israel in any of the debates we've ever been in. It's always like, Israel's the greatest. Israel's never done anything wrong. You're the most moral. Everyone who is opposed to Israel is an anti.
Yeah, and anybody who speaks against Israel, you better call the police. The police. The police. Mike Perry, the police.
Semite, and they should all be canceled forever. So now this guy has enough access to the White House where he's doing secret plots on behalf of Israel. I mean, it doesn't get any more ironic than this.
There's Avi Yamini, who's not even an American. He's in Australia, apparently. He says this photo is hilarious in hindsight. Trump knew Tucker was talking to Iran. So he invites him to the Oval Office before the strike, knowing Tucker will run straight back and relay it. Iran sees this photo, thinks Tucker has Trump's ear, thinks Trump is bluffing. Meanwhile, and then he basically repeats the same alleged plot that Shabbos Kestenbaum put out. So my point is, Cenk, immediately after Tucker comes out with this video, you have the pro-Israel crowd coming out with similar tweets or posts on X, which communicates to me that this is orchestrated. And look, it's not like
Of course it's orchestrated. Tucker Carlson is highly suspicious of Israel, critical of Israel. So what exactly do you think they're going to do? They are going to make it seem like he is coordinating with Iran because they want to get rid of him. That is the reason why.
Trump administration hasn't gone out of its way to violate the speech rights of Americans and green card holders if they dare to be critical of Israel. In fact, here is Secretary of War, I should say, Pete Hegseth, essentially chiding the media.
I love how they changed it to the Secretary of War, right? To sort of add this effect of, well, it's the Secretary of War. It's not the Secretary of Defense, because we don't fight for defense, we fight for war. We go on the offense. So therefore, we should be called the Secretary of War, right? Like the Ministry of War.
For its coverage of the Iran war. Apparently the White House doesn't like it. It's not favorable enough. They're totally okay with, like, speaking out against the media, attacking them. Here's the latest example.
Some of this crew in the press just can't stop. Allow me to make a few suggestions. For example, a banner or a headline. Mideast war intensifies, splashing on the screen the last couple of days, alongside visuals of civilian or energy targets that Iran has hit, because that's what they do. What should the banner read instead? How about Iran increasingly desperate? Because they are. Or more fake news from CNN. Reports that the Trump administration underestimated the Iran war's impact on the Strait of Hormuz. Patently ridiculous, of course. For decades, Iran has threatened shipping in the Strait of Hormuz. This is always what they do, hold the strait hostage. CNN doesn't think we thought of that. It's a fundamentally unserious report. The sooner David Ellison takes over that network, the better.
You guys didn't think about the Strait of Hormuz, which is why Iran has effectively shut it down, you moron. And then on top of that, Iran increasingly desperate? You guys are begging other countries to join the war because the U.S. is increasingly desperate.
What? What are you talking about?
What are we doing here? The media, by the way, has actually been embarrassing in the way they've covered the war in Iran, right? They've been much more deferential to the administration and the Israelis.
Yeah. So he says it's patently ridiculous to think that they didn't think of the Strait of Hormuz. Of course they did. That's why it's blocked now, and we have no answer at all. Oh, wait. It doesn't look like we had... If we had any plans at all, apparently they were terrible plans, because Secretary of War Hegseth, is the Strait of Hormuz closed, or isn't it?
Yeah, we're not going to take advice on how to do our jobs from a drunk who can't do his own job. How about that?
Look, there's a bottom line here. Right now, the President, Caroline Levitt, and others are begging our European allies and our Asian allies to come help us with the Strait of Hormuz, because it's closed and we don't know how to reopen it. So the only thing that's patently ridiculous is that Hegseth has any idea what he's doing. Okay, now to the larger point here about Tucker. So as you saw in the tweets, there is no question that the Israel First Alliance in this country and other countries, in Israel and Australia and America, they're all saying the same talking points. So as Anna pointed out, that is orchestrated, that is coordinated, which then leads to the question of who did they coordinate that with?
Mm-hmm.
Was it with a foreign government? Because it's helping a foreign government. Okay.
Yeah.
I've got more on that, but go ahead.
Okay, but let's stay on that point for a second.
What it seems is that it's okay to help Israel as a foreign government, but not exactly Iran. But I kind of get it. I mean, they are at war with Iran. And look, here's the thing about it, right? I don't think nothing is going to happen to Tucker Carlson. This is not going to, yeah, man, this is not going to help in any kind of way. What was that? You just retracted, Victory? I'm sorry. Yeah, I did not see that. You just retracted something. But yeah, look, they're not going to do anything to Tucker Carlson, okay? Now, the fact that they are attempting should worry a lot of people, okay?
Jake, because I want to go to this video from Tucker's show today.
He says it was off topic, not important. No, it's fine, man. You know what I mean?
Because he addressed something that Ron DeSantis, the governor of Florida, did in regard to violating the speech rights of Americans. Here's what I'm talking about. Take a look.
Workplace discrimination and harassment happen when an employer creates a hostile work.
There was a not famous enough moment where the governor of Florida, Ron DeSantis, who's, I think, been a pretty good governor in some ways, but traveled to Israel to sign what looked like hate speech laws that are applicable in Florida.
He actually went to Israel twice to sign laws in Israel that applied to people in Florida. The first one was kind of benign and had some connection to Israel. The second one, though, which was in, I believe, 2022, when he was gearing up to run for the Republican primary nomination, a big part of what the strategy was they were going to get, and they did get, most of the hardcore, fanatical Zionist groups and pro-Israel activist types and pundit types. They lined up not behind Trump, but behind Ron DeSantis. And I don't want to completely mischaracterize the law because there is some, you can overstate it, but it absolutely was a law that took certain speech and prescribed it, not for the people in Israel, but for the people in Florida. And it was about funding hate speech programs.
Yeah, that makes sense, Marty. I mean, considering the fact that they are true welterweights, right? I think Dustin, should have been a welterweight a long time ago, and obviously Islam took that next step.
And again, only about anti-Semitism in Israel, and he went to Israel in order to sign it.
When you go to a different country to sign a law that doesn't benefit your
36 pounds,
citizens, but benefits that country, that looks like coordination with a foreign government, doesn't it?
Sure does.
Guys, it is enormously strange for the governor of Florida to go to any other country to sign a law. Can you imagine? He's like, I really want to go to Honduras to sign this bill for Florida because it's going to help the people of Honduras. You'd be like, what? You're the governor of Florida. What are you doing, right? But when it's Israel, all of the press and all the politicians go, attaboy, way to serve Israel. Okay, no, there's assets all over Washington that work for Israel. And it is exceedingly obvious. And a lot of the governors, over 30 of them, have passed laws that limit...
Oh, sorry, I read that wrong. I thought you meant that they both weighed in at 191, but obviously that was only Islam that weighed that much that night. Okay, that makes sense.
American speech rights, if you are criticizing Israel or you're calling for a boycott, sanction, or divestment from Israel, you no longer have First Amendment rights in over 30 states in America. I don't know if all those governors went to Tel Aviv, Jerusalem, and Haifa to sign it and then to...
Yeah, no, that makes sense. That is also why, Islam obviously, took that next step to go into 170.
Like, maybe they could shine Netanyahu's shoes while they're there, okay? Bunch of traitors to this country. You're talking about Tucker Carlson's a traitor? Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
No, hold on. I gotta ask one more.
Look, it is kind of strange that whenever you speak about Israel, you're somehow the traitor, right? But for some reason, the people who work for them, within the context of being detrimental to the United States, is not somehow doing the same thing. Like, make that make sense.
Question about coordination, then we'll come back to the rest of it.
Yeah.
So, okay, now all of the media figures coordinated for Israel first, as we showed you. But Trump says he doesn't know anything about this, and I actually believe him on this one because of the context of this story. And so, if Trump doesn't know it, but Tucker is right that a reporter called him with his text, knowing... So obviously his privacy has been invaded because the reporter knew what his texts were. How else would the reporter know? And the reporter says they got it from inside the government and potentially the CIA. So are there people inside the CIA and the Justice Department also coordinating with those same media figures and that same foreign government? And how deeply ironic is it to coordinate to attack an American media figure in this country for opposing it?
Shout out to Hate Bro, man. Hate Love. How are you, man? How are you? Are you ready to find out tomorrow whether we have Eid on Thursday or Friday? Because if the moon appears tomorrow, then that means we have Eid, right? We have Eid if the moon appears tomorrow. If there is no moon appearance by, I would say about 6 or 7 o'clock Saudi Arabia time, so that's going to be 9 a.m. West Coast time out here. So I'm very excited. I can't wait for the Saudi State Department to announce when Eid is going to be. I'm very excited. Very excited. So, you know, may Allah bless all the people who are the moon seekers, right? The scientists that are working very hard to find out for us.
Israel with the Israeli government while pretending he's working with a different government.
It's amazing. Let me just note that our Justice Department under the Trump administration has declared repeatedly that they do not intend to open up any investigations into any of the individuals who have been named in the Epstein files. So when it comes to potential pedophiles, can't be bothered to pursue prosecution.
Yeah, can't be bothered to go after pedophiles, but you're going to go after Tucker Carlson for doing his job as a journalist, which is essentially talking to everybody.
Comes to the U.S. ambassador to Israel, Mike Huckabee, his secret meeting with convicted traitor to the United States, Jonathan Pollard, something that the U.S., the White House was not informed about ahead of time. It was a secret meeting. No punishment whatsoever. He literally met with a convicted traitor to the United States.
To coordinate. That is also someone from a foreign government. And I'll say this every time, Miriam Adelson and Sheldon Adelson flew out Jonathan Pollard in their private jet back to Israel and gave him a hero's welcome for betraying America on behalf of Israel. And those are the guys who gave Trump over $300 million. I mean, you want to talk about coordinating with a foreign government? We literally they ordered our president to coordinate with a foreign government that had spied in on us to give the traitor back and give a hero's welcome. But one last one, Lindsey Graham. Practical.
Oh man, Lindsey Graham is such a cringe lord, right? First of all, he sounds gay. Number one, I mean, he probably really is gay, right? Not that, I mean, yeah. On top of that, he is such a cuck to Israel. He says, wow, this guy, who is he? You're talking about Lindsey Graham? Oh, yeah, he's a senator in the U.S.
Bragging about
kind of like your MPs in the parliament in England, like that.
How he went to and talked to the Israeli government and Netanyahu and gave them advice on how to convince the American government to go into this disastrous war. Well, that is obviously coordinating with a foreign government to influence our government's actions. But they admit their treason in front of everyone, but since almost everyone in Washington is a traitor and works for Israel, everybody goes, oh, that's normal. That's normal. It's not at all normal. And those same liars in Washington today pretending to be outraged, potentially at Tucker Carlson. Can you believe that he might be working with a foreign government? You're all working for a foreign government. In fact, when people announce it and declare it in front of everyone, you congratulate them rather than go, hey, wait, isn't that illegal? Every time you ring the bell below, an angel gets.
All right, so that is highly unusual. That is highly unusual. Okay. So we're talking about potential foreign agent charges that they're going to try and place on Tucker Carlson, right? He says, no, I mean the guy you're playing, the guy who's talking right now. Oh, yeah, that's Cenk Uygur, the host of the Young Turks show, right? Very famous political show. They tend to lean on Democrat, but yeah. So, okay, potential foreign agent charges is what they're trying to place on Tucker Carlson, right? The CIA has reportedly been preparing criminal referrals to the State Department, the Department of Justice, okay? The claims is based on a text message that he exchanged with individuals in Iran prior to the recent conflict. Now, who are these Iranians? We don't know. Could they be civilians or could they be military people? Obviously, if they are military people, it could be, you know, some really serious charges on his part, right? So the nature of the allegations, all right? Tucker Carlson suggests he is being targeted for potentially acting as an unregistered agent of a foreign power, a violation, by the way, also known as FARA, okay, rather than treason. All right, so the political reactions from this, right? Some critics and political figures, okay, such as Max Miller, have publicly used the word treason to describe his actions, his alleged actions. Let's really put it in perspective, right? His alleged actions, suggesting that he should be prosecuted if he worked for or worked with Iran against the United States. So Carlson's defense, this is his defense out of all this, right? He's obviously denied any wrongdoing, okay? Describing his investigation as politically motivated by the intelligence agencies due to his views. Now, what views are those exactly? Obviously, those are the views that he has on Israel. All right, so real quick, let's talk about Ronda Rousey, okay? Because Ronda Rousey is talking about a revolution in the fighters movement, okay? So right now, Ronda Rousey is leading a movement, all right? She's headlining the Netflix show. Rousey has stated that she is leading a revolution that she believes is more significant than any single promotion. Okay, this follows her vocal criticism of the UFC regarding fighter pay, specifically noting that top-tier companies should be able to pay athletes at least a living wage. So, not too long ago, like, when was this, the 15th? So this was 2 days ago. On March 15th, she made a surprise debut for Elite, Elite Wrestling, right? AEW Revolution on the pay-per-view. She appeared between a match, after a match between Toni Storm and her close friend Marina Sheriff, right? So Rousey confronted Toni in the ring before aligning herself with Sheriff and the Death Rider stable, okay? That's the name of the group, okay? So in this MMA comeback in the tandem, her wrestling return, Rousey is leading a revolution to get back to the cage. She is scheduled to fight Gina Carano at the Inuit Dome in Los Angeles, which is in the Inglewood area. But her industry criticisms, okay? She has been welcoming other major stars like Nate Diaz to the revolution, which she positioned as a competitor to the established promotions like the UFC. Now, you would imagine the UFC could have probably used Nate Diaz for, let's say, you know, a card in the White House, right? He could have been used for that, but for whatever reason, they just decided, you know, not to do that because they are in a completely different direction. Now, look, here's the thing. What's a better card? Okay, what is a better card? Is it the UFC, White House, or is it going to be Ronda Rousey? By the way, they are having some troubles right now with the permits with the UFC, right? Permits for UFC White House. I believe that's what is going on right now, right? So just to kind of pull it in context, let me see the notes that I have here. Let's see here. What did I write down when I read about this news? Okay, so there's some sanctioning disputes that are going on right now, right? Okay, so the UFC proposed UFC Freedom 250, which is going to be an event at the White House, and is currently facing sanctioning disputes with the DC Combat Sports Commission, right? Not the Virginia Sports Commission or the Maryland Sports Commission or whatever neighboring states or cities that are around that region, right? We're talking about the DC Combat Sports Commission. Now, what is the core issue here of getting a permit for this White House fight card? The issue is that the UFC's refusal to obtain a $100 permit from the commission, which oversees all combat sports of District Columbia, aka DC, right? So the dispute. The UFC stance, the promotion argues that the permit is unnecessary because the event is taking place on federal land, which, by the way, is the White House, the South Lawn. Okay, that is considered federal land, okay, which they claim is outside the commission's jurisdiction. That is right outside the commission's jurisdiction. Commission stance. Andrew Huff, okay, He's the chairman of the DC Combat Sports Commission. Okay, what he does, he maintains that all promoters in DC must be held to the same standard. He wanted that without permit. The fight will be considered unsanctioned, meaning the results and wins will not count towards the fighter's official promotional record. I'm sorry, a professional record, not just, well, maybe promotional record, but not the professional record, okay? Which is a problem in and of itself. You got title fights there, you got an interim title fight. How are you not going to do that? So here are some key concerns and implications, okay? Fighter licensing. Under standard sanctioning, fighters must obtain comprehensive medical records, okay, and pass commission-mandated physical examinations. And by the way, this is, without this, the UFC would likely use its own medical staff, raising concerns from the commission, okay, regarding impartiality. Okay, Huff has expressed that allowing the UFC to bypass local regulations would set a precedence of other promotions to host events on federal land in DC to avoid oversight. So that's the problem here, okay? A little bit of some event details, right? Despite the performing hurdles, the event is scheduled for June 14, 2026, obviously to coincide with Donald Trump's birthday, also known as, you know, the Flag Day. It's also Flag Day for America. Now, this plan obviously includes 5,000 live spectators with 85,000 people outside of the lawn, basically watching it from, I don't know, some kind of wing shop or something like that. But yes, additional 85,000 people watching via big screens at the, where is it, Ellipse? But here's a problem with that, right? Obviously, Joe Rogan has also raised some concerns about potential terrorist attacks, okay? We're at war, and there is a high probability that this will happen. That doesn't look good, man. That doesn't look good. Hate Love says, Kyrie, bro, I just posted about Joe Kent something on your last live. It's literally about Trump and Israeli pressure. It's worth a read when you have the time. It's not too long. Okay. Well, I'll read it right now. Let's check this out. Okay. You said that it was in my last live or this live. Let me know here. Let me see here. Where did you post this? Okay, here we go. We'll read it right here. All right, so Joe Kent is a decorated U.S. military veteran, former CIA officer who resigned as a director of the National Counterterrorism Center. Okay, Kent claimed that Trump fell victim to the misfortune campaign orchestrated by Israel that deceived him into believing Tehran was a threat. Similar lies were used to drag the U.S. into war in Iraq back in 2003, he argued. And I quote, he says, "We cannot make this mistake again." The outgoing counterterrorism chief said, "I cannot support sending a generation off to fight and die in a war that serves no benefit to the American people, nor does it justify the cost of American lives," he added. The announcement just came days after Axios reported that Trump was allegedly considering the seizure of Iran's Crag Island offshore's oil hub in a move that would likely require a ground operation. Now, U.S.-Israel attacks have already reportedly killed 1,000 Iranian civilians, triggering retaliatory attacks across the Middle East that would effectively close the Strait of Hormuz, a key oil and gas shipping lane. So there it is. There it is. That's the reality of the Middle East right now. So, yeah, man. All right, so let's see what else. What else here? Okay, so yeah, we did cover a whole lot today. We absolutely covered a whole lot.
you're watching America First. My name is Nicholas J. Fuentes. We got a great show for you tonight. Very excited to be back here with you tonight on Monday. We have a lot to talk about tonight, lots to get into. Big show. Our featured story tonight, we're back in Iran. Day 17. We are halfway through the third week.
Can you believe that? It's already been 17 days of this war already.
Hard to believe. Already halfway through our third week in a war with Iran. They said initially it would be 4 days, maybe 4 weeks. We've been getting mixed signals the entire time. Where's it going to go? Are we going to escalate? Are we going to withdraw? There is still no end in sight in the war. And as the war drags on, the biggest problem, as we've been discussing for the past couple of weeks, is that Iran has completely closed the Strait of Hormuz, and there is no way to get it open. Now, there's some relief on this front. These have been some of the developments of the past weekend. Iran has actually allowed some allied shipping containers or tankers through the strait, which has actually eased some of the upward pressure on crude oil. So it seems that at least for now, oil prices are stabilizing. That being said, it's still largely closed. Now, the big development from this weekend, and I don't know how many of you have paid close attention to some of the chatter, but it has been something. So we talked last week, I believe on Friday, about Trump's gambit at Karg Island. He launched a massive airstrike against military assets on Karg Island in the Persian Gulf. It's an Iranian island off the coast of Iran, and it is critical and essential because this is where 90% of Iran's oil is ultimately exported.
Yeah, Battlefield 3 already trained me to attack Karg Island. Listen, I already assaulted Karg Island all the way back when I was a little kid in Battlefield 3, so I already know this place inside out. I bet this one of the Marine...
You know, it's crazy. That was a video game setting back in the days, right? That's what's crazy about this. It's almost like as if they had predicted this in some kind of weird way, but yeah. The Hustling Fox says, endless war equals endless money. Who be getting the kickbacks from the weapon manufacturers? Correct, yes. All right, let's continue on with this.
...that are being sent there, they already played that map. They already know what it's like there.
It gets piped out or shipped out via pipeline from Iran's coast to the island, where the super tankers and very large ships loaded up on board and then take it out to China and other countries. So Trump bombed that island very hard last week, and it seems like maybe the play, haven't seen anything yet, but maybe the play is to invade that island and seize Iran's oil infrastructure. There's been a lot of talk about that. I believe it.
That is exactly what they are trying to do. They are trying to get Iran's, infrastructure of oil and things of that nature, right? I mean, why else would they be there, right? Or you think they're there to bring freedom to women in Iran? You think that's their reason? You think that is their whole entire prerogative? I think not. I think they have a reason to be there, and their reason is primarily oil. That is their main reason. All right, guys, listen, we're going to get into the bonus stream right now, right? Stay tuned. We're going to get to the bonus stream. In the meantime, I'm going to show you my latest training video. And, we'll go from there. I'm going to play some music in the background, uncopyrighted music, because I had some copyright music as I was doing this. So, all right, I will be back in 20 minutes. We're going to continue on with the bonus stream, okay? hold on, just having a little bit of some technical difficulties here. Hold on a second. Thank you, man. He says you're a natural, bro. Thanks, man. Okay, we'll start from the very beginning. All right, y'all. We're going to continue the show. I'm going to take this on the road with me. So, yeah, bear with me, guys, because I will be in the car while I'm still live streaming. I'm going to continue this live stream as we continue on, man. You know, we're getting some good tractions here with this one. I think I'm going to keep this going for, you know, a little bit now, you know, close to about 3,000 people now, you know, around the world are watching us. So, yeah, I'm going to keep it going. I'm going to keep it cracking. And, yeah, man, let me know what you guys think about that training session. That training session was literally done while fasting, okay? So I'm fasting for Ramadan, as you know, right? We got about a couple of days left before Ramadan closes. And yeah, man, you know, nice little training session while fasting for Ramadan, right? You know, can't wait for Eid. Obviously, Eid is, you know, drawing close. And, you know, fun times ahead. You know, just like a few good fun times ahead we had with this live stream. You know, we had some good live streams going on with this one. We're going to keep it going. We're going to keep it cracking. Yeah, man, because there ain't nothing else, right? So let's see. Abdul Rahim says, hi, Khairi. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. How are you? Ramadan Kareem. Blessings and greetings. Fighter is haram. Fighting is haram. Yeah, well, it is. It is. But you know what? That's why I don't fight anymore. You know, I just talk about it. You know what I mean? But I still train in fighting. You know, there's nothing wrong with training and fighting. You know, but you are right. It is haram, right? Everything around it is haram. Obviously, there's elements of gambling that is involved. That can't be good. There's elements of, you know, like, for example, ring card girls and this and that. I mean, just, you know, women, period, being involved in MMA, you know, it almost is like, I don't know. I just don't think, yeah, you know, women don't have a place in MMA. I know that's not something that a lot of feminists like to hear, but that's really what it is. Now, at the same time, though, you know, for those that are already competing in the sport, you know, do I really have anything, you know, to say to them? No, because, you know, at the end of the day, they are only competing in MMA, right? So, you know, it's almost really none of my business to, you know, really discourage them from competing in the first place, right? So, you know, that's how that goes, man. You know, that's how that goes. Yeah, man. So, all right. So, right now, so yes, right? And obviously, the reason why I've been doing live streams is, I don't know, man. I just feel like I'm just really hot when I'm doing live streams. I want to try and cultivate, you know, the videos, because, you know, that is in and of itself its own, you know, different algorithm. So I got to try to get in there somehow, but I'm going to need you guys to support me on that. By the way, hit the like button. We only got about 2 more likes that we need to hit it up to 20. That's all we need is 2 more likes. You know, if I could get 2 more likes, that would be highly appreciated. So yeah, man, my man here says hello from Israel. I don't know if that is your screen name or that is what you're saying, but it seems you have some Hebrew letters there. So make of that as you will. So yeah, man. Yeah, man. Great and beautiful times ahead. Well, all right. What else? What else do we have going on right now? So obviously we talked about Tucker Carlson. I thought we'd get that in there. We had some pretty good traction of people came in here to, you know, support the channel, get some views on it. And we talked about Ronda Rousey saying that she wants to have a revolution in the UFC. Okay, so let's do that, right? Spontaneous, right on the spot, right here, right? What are we going to talk about with Ronda Rousey saying there is a revolution? So my guesstimation is that when they try to ask her to come and fight for the UFC, I think she was told by the UFC, hey, you know what? This is how much we think of you. And they probably gave her a lowball offer And she decided, you know what? No more. I'm not going to take this anymore. No way. I'm not going to be disrespected. So she went to the next best thing, which was Jake Paul. Okay, and Jake Paul offered her a boatload of money. So, guys, what's going to happen with all of this? I think there's going to be not quite a revolution, but a second choice in the world of MMA. And that's primarily what is important, right? Is having a second choice. So, the UFC has always been the top tier organization that everybody wants to fight for. But by the end of the day, now they have a second option. And it seems that MVP is now going to be the number 2 because PFL is failing. ONE FC is kind of, at least declining in the side of MMA, right? They're sort of concentrating in cage Muay Thai fights now. So we'll see where it goes. Victory says on the road again. That's right, man. That's right. That's right. I'm always on the road doing something, guys. So, you know what? Why not stream it, right? Now, obviously, I don't stream everything that I do on the road, right? Because some things are not for public consumption. But rest assured that I'm out there working and grinding just like everybody else. He says UFC always ruined the market from putting out so many fights. UFC ruined the market from putting out so many fights. What do you mean by putting out so many fights? Putting out as in stopping the fights, or putting out as in having 43 events in a year? Like, what do you mean by that? Victory says, back in the days, there weren't as many, so if you found Bellator on TV, you watched it. Correct. I see what you mean, right? Saturation. There's a high flux of saturation that is going on in MMA. I absolutely agree with that. Yes, that is true. There's just way too much saturation in the world of MMA, and I think that, it's turning off a lot of people, right? There's just too much. But here's the thing, right? I would argue that what I do on YouTube is saturation. Okay, because I stream for a lot of hours now, right? I do a lot of videos. I did a lot of videos. I haven't done a video in a month because I just wanted to concentrate on just live streaming. But nonetheless, yes, it is a high saturation. But here's the thing, right? It's high saturation if you watch me religiously, right? But at the same time, I'm also trying to build an audience. So I'm also trying to build a new audience, a new set of eyes. What does it say here? It makes it harder for other promotions to survive because no one cares. There's already fights every weekend, so unless it's some mega fight, no one watches. Old says, what was the promo that the UFC absorbed that have Jose Aldo and Uriah Faber? What was the promo that the UFC absorbed that have Jose Aldo and Uriah Faber? I believe Uriah Faber and Jose Aldo fought in WEC. I remember that fight vividly because obviously I was in, I was training there at the time. No, I wasn't. Wait, no, I wasn't. Hold on. That was just months before I started training there. Sorry. Training at a Muay Thai gym before that, and then that Muay Thai gym happened to be Uriah Faber's Muay Thai coach. So, that was a connection right there. But yes, that was that was Uriah. No, it was WEC. That it was. Yes, it was WEC. But yeah, man, there's a high saturation in the world of MMA, and I think people are desensitized to MMA now. At least the hardcores, right? I think we're kind of getting in that phase right now where the hardcores are getting desensitized. But at the same time, I don't know how the UFC is going to build a new audience. I suppose the White House is, sort of that. Oh, and man, listen, man, there's a lot of permit issues going on with the White House right now, man. There's a lot of issues going on. I have a feeling, man, I have a really bad feeling about the White House card. The White House card is cursed, man. I hate to say it. It feels like the White House card is cursed. So, I hope that's not the case, but there's just much for me. I'm not as into it as I used to be. Yeah, you're right. You know how I know that, bro? You only, like, when you tune in, right? Like, when you tune in to my live reactions, I often notice you're not in front of the screen, right? I just assume, like, okay, well, you're tapping into the live stream as I'm tapping into the fights, and I'm thinking you're also tapping into the fights as well, but, you know, really, you're out there, you know, living your life, doing whatever, right? You know, being out with your family or, you know, working, right? So, yeah, I forget that you're not also watching the fights as well. And I think a lot of my friends are sort of like that. It says if MVP puts another big fight on the card, people will definitely say it's better than the White House. I rarely watch them live. Only for the big fights, I'm assuming, right? I'm sure you definitely tap into the big fights live, right? But when it comes to, let's say, you know, fight night cards or, you know, cards that are not big pay-per-views, I guess you just tune in here, you know, kind of listen in to, you know, what the play-by-play and what's going on. So there it is, man. That tells me that at least there's a service that, you know, you could offer doing live streams, because, you know, for people that are not watching a fight, way you can kind of watch it for them. And I often see this with MMA Guru's audience as well. I see this with other MMA streamers as well that stream periodically when the fight is going on. There's people that would send in super chats or write on the message, yeah, I'm not really watching the fights, I'm just listening to your play-by-play. So that's kind of this new option that us MMA streamers are sort of providing as a service now. He says, usually I just watch it on YouTube the next morning. I can't typically stay up late. Yeah. Sometimes, yeah, man, you know what? I don't know how the British fans do it though, man. You know, the British fans are extremely fanatical when it comes to staying up. Like, you gotta understand, like, how effed up MMA Guru's sleeping schedule is, right? Because I remember Anthony Joshua was once asked about a fight, right? I believe it was about two American, not two American heavyweights. One of them was American, obviously Wilder and Fury. They asked him about the Wilder-Fury fight. He said, no, I wasn't watching that, man. You know, I had to basically, you know, stay up. D-Man says, Kyrie, thanks for streaming. Man, no problem, bro. No problem. You know, I'm in here, you know, rocking it for you guys, getting it on and, you know, getting it cracking and, you know, and doing the dang thing, you know, till the end, man. You know, we're gonna, you know what, I might just stream for, you know, just a little bit longer. I will be pausing, though, in between the streams. Just don't mind me, okay? Because, well, you know, I'm going to pick up, well, doesn't really matter what I'm doing, but I think you could kind of guess. I just don't really care to talk about it. But yeah, you know, I will be streaming, but, you know, just rest assured, I may take a few little breaks here and there just because I'm doing something on the side. But yeah, Mark Haney, ADD gang, there it is, man. I knew I should not have ended the stream, you know, a while ago, right? So here I am, man. We are graced by the presence of Mark Haney, man. How are you, my man? How are you, my northern man from up north, man? Shout outs to you and the 1-4 and all of that, man. You know what I'm saying? Like ABC, Asian Boy Crips, and Northanios up in here. Real NorCal love on the gang. ADD gang on that. You know what I mean? That's what it is, bro. Heck yeah, man. Heck yeah. And then thank you for whoever that was that gave me the 20th like for this stream. Very much well needed. But yeah, man, what's up with you, bro? How's wrestling season for the kids, man? I know that your kids are really kicking butt in you know, in high school wrestling right now. High school varsity wrestling at that, man. So, you know, anybody that's grown up in the United States and has grown up around wrestling, oh my goodness, bro. Listen, toughest sport in the world, man. And you know what? I think it's one of the toughest programs any high school athlete can go through, and it's beautiful that you share your kid's accomplishments and his updates on that particular matter. We're always glad to hear it. And you know what? That is what's beautiful about this page, guys. Okay, I love that I was able to build a community of people, not necessarily like-minded, right? Because none of us are like-minded, but we do have similarities in our love for combat sports, and I think that brings people together in a very positive way, right? A lot of good positivity that comes out of this, and I am more than thankful for that. Mark Haney says, man, the kid got trash at the ABEL championship, won the first match with 17 with .17 pin, but lost the next two by 1 point. LOL, lose two and you're out. Okay, so yeah, it's one of those things, right? It's a process of elimination type of tournament, kind of like what they had with the Mighty Ducks hockey team. And from what I remember, right? I remember they said, yeah, it's a 2-loss elimination tournament that they had going on. So it's kind of one of those things. So, all right, man. That's very, very interesting to hear. All right, guys, listen, I will be right back. Doing a bit of some pickup right now. So I'll be right back. I'm going to keep the stream going because we're going to keep this conversation going for a while. All right. See you guys in a bit. Stay tuned. I still will be here. So. All right, we're back. We're back at it. We're back at it like a crack addict, like my man Gunner Collectives says. You know, one of my favorite Northern California YouTubers, right there. Back at it like a crack addict. Yup. All right, so let's get this thing, you know, cracking and started once again, right? So yeah, man, what is up in the world of combat sports so far, man? Ronda Rousey, wow. Ronda Rousey is back at it again, right? This time she said to Hunter Campbell, "I'm going for your mother effing job." Now, what does she mean by that? Does she mean that she's going to try to get Hunter Campbell fired, or does she mean that she's going to take over his job, right? What exactly does he mean by that? That is crazy thing to say, man. What is going on there? Obviously, there's a lot of animosity going on there, you know, with Hunter Campbell. She seems to be really upset at the UFC. She also mentions that the UFC, Dana White in particular, is not happy with the UFC. So I don't know what's going on with that. I don't know what it is that she's trying to imply with what's happening there, but man, you know, it is not good news for the relationship between Ronda Rousey and the UFC. Not whatsoever. Yeah, man, so what is going on with that? Woo! Yeah, on any regard, man. It's a crazy time to be alive, guys. You got Eddie Hearn and Dana White beefing. And now you got 50 Cent and T.I. beefing. Who would have saw that coming? Back on the road again. Back on the road. On the road. Yup. Asking me, how do you stream for so long hours, or this and that? Well, you do understand I'm trying to get a foothold in the youth space, right? You do understand that, right? Like, you understand that getting a foot in the whole in the YouTube space is not exactly just, you know, sitting around and waiting for people to come to you. You know, sometimes you got to go after people as well. And how you do that is by putting yourself out there as much as possible, right? Like, you see, this is the thing, right? Everybody wants to be a big shot, but nobody wants to do big shot things, right? So obviously I'm here working hard, grinding for a reason, because I obviously want to be a world of YouTube. So in order to do that, you got to get up in there, man. You got to get in there and do what needs to be done. He says, don't stream and drive. You have to pay attention to the road. My man. By the way, Mark Haney, are you still in here, my man? You know, I'm in a North Daniel neighborhood, by the way. Right? I am in a North Day neighborhood, Broderick, West Sacramento. Are you familiar with that hood? My brother, Rodzilla, I appreciate what you're saying, but you're not me, bro. you're not as highly coordinated. I mean, I don't know you from a can of paint, but, you know, I'm a pretty highly coordinated person. I don't know about you. You know, maybe you're coordinated, maybe you're not. Maybe you're not coordinated in a way where you can't stream and drive, but I'm coordinated in a way where I can stream, I can drive, and I could literally write stuff on a piece of paper and in a notebook right now, in a notepad, while I'm talking to you and while I'm driving at the same time. I know how to multitask. He says, not about being gangster, it's about being a responsible driver. Well, I tell you what, when I get into a car crash while I'm driving, while streaming, then we can talk about it. Until then, I think I know what I'm talking about, man. I think I know what I'm doing. Okay, but thank you though, right? And I understand, yes, you're right. It's not about being gangster, but it's also about understanding your ability. Now, do I understand my ability and being able to drive while also talk and stream at the same time? Yeah, I have a very good understanding of that capability, and I'm doing just quite fine with that. He says, for the innocent people involved, I hope you don't. So this is another thing that I mean, right? This is another thing that I mean that I want to talk about, okay? So you mentioned that, right? I also mentioned earlier that people ask me, how is it that I'm able to stream, you know, for this long? And it's like, well, yeah, you got to do that if you want a foothold in YouTube. You want to know why a lot of people don't make it on YouTube? Because they don't stream enough. They don't stream enough. They also don't do content enough. And that's the reason why, yeah, they don't do good. So of course I want to do good. Of course I want to do great. But how do you do that? You just got to keep on going and you got to keep on grinding. Now look, I got different circumstances that I got going on in my life, right? I got to, you know, do certain things. I have to be in certain places, which I don't really have, you know, any desire to tell you what that is, right? But while I'm busy and I'm doing stuff during the day, I'm going to stream. I'm going to stream as much as I can so that I can get a foothold in YouTube. He says, in the UK, it is illegal to operate a cell phone and drive. Yeah, that's cute. We're not in the UK, and I don't mean that in a very like pejorative way or being mean or anything like that. But you know, America and the UK are different. You know what I mean? Yeah. All I'm saying is that a lot of people are normies, okay? I'm just gonna be really upfront and honest about it. The majority of people are normies. They don't understand. They don't understand that other people are capable of doing certain things. I've been doing this a lot lately. You know how many years I've been streaming and you know, driving at the same time, you know, for like a couple of years now. Nothing has happened for those 2 years that I've been doing that. And now, I mean, God forbid, you know, anything can happen, right? You want to lessen your chances of doing that. But I'm driving in streets where I know where I'm going. Like, I know these streets like the back of my mind. So I appreciate your candid honesty. I appreciate your concern, but you know, everything is fine over here, you know, just so you know. Look at this old school Impala right here. But yeah, no, I mean that, man. Thank you for your concern, man. You know, he says, in the ghetto, he says, you're really a gangster. I mean, look, man, you know, my reputation, you know, follows me as is, you know. So he says, children in the back too. Oh, wow. Yeah. So like, what are you talking about, bro? Like, you know, you're giving me snitch vibes right now, Rodzilla. You know, you really acting like a straight snitch, bro. I don't know what your you know, I don't know what your problem is, you know, like stating these things out there like that. Like, you know, some things are not to be talked about in the internet. You know what I mean? First and foremost, you know, I don't got to tell you, you know, anything about myself. I don't got to tell you snap, you know, anything. And number two, you know, don't be stating out things that don't need to be stated out. You understand? So I don't understand what your problem is. I mean, really, like, what is your problem stating that out, bro? Like, I don't know what, man, look, you know what it is, man? Y'all are just normies. You don't get and understand anything. You don't understand or get anything, and, you know, you live in your own world. You think that, you know, everything is applied, you know, in your standards, okay? Let me explain something to you, right? Do I need to give you a list of rundowns of the things that I've done in my life? Right? For me to be where I'm at and for me to do what I do. Do I need to really list those things, right? We're not the same. I'm sorry, but we're not the same. He says he's worried about you endangering children while you're reading comments while driving, dipshit. Yeah, well, dipshit, nothing seems to have happened, right? You know, you guys are a bunch of dumb normies that really don't understand anything, so therefore you just think like somehow, you know, okay, you know, because there's these rules that say, you know, this, that, and the other, that somehow it's going to affect me. Listen to me, guys. I'm in a neighborhood where I completely understand the ins and outs of this. You know where I'm at right now? I'm in Broderick. You know what Broderick is? Ask what Mark Haney Broderick is. This is a Northania neighborhood, okay, in West Sacramento. I know this neighborhood like the back of my mind, okay? I know some of the people in this neighborhood as well. So it's like, why? Yeah, man, I don't know, man. You know what? Listen, how about this, right? How about I get rid of your comment right there? I'll get rid of that comment. And here's the thing right here. I'm going to get rid of this comment right here. Okay? You say another thing that's stupid or something that is incriminating or something that doesn't need to be said, I'm putting you in the shadow realm for, I don't know, maybe 5 minutes or so. You know what I mean? That's what I'm going to do. Okay? Oh my God, you're driving. You're driving. Why are you doing that? Shut the man, you sound like a bitch, bro. Straight up. All of you sound like straight bitches right now. Like, I understand your concern and all that, but shut up, bro. You know what I mean? Like, if it was such a concern, you know, obviously I would not do it, right? Like, who understands threat assessments more than between me and you? You think you understand threat assessments more than me? Like, be honest with yourselves. Like, what have you done with your life for you to understand threat assessments more than me? And look, man, I'm just talking smack, bro. This is the proverbial you that I'm talking to. It's not personal or anything like that. I ain't trying to make it personal. I'm just being real and honest. You know what I mean? I'm just being real and honest. That's all. So don't be mad. Don't be mad that I'm getting at you right now, but, you know, you're acting like a real bitch right now, you know, talking about this, that, and the other, you know, and I understand you're concerned and all that, but there ain't nothing to be concerned about. I've done this before. Like, you know how many times I've done this? Like, you know, how many times have you done this? Of course, none. You're not a live streamer, okay, number one. Number two, you're not a California driver, okay? That's another thing. You're not a streamer. You're not a California driver. You ain't from around here. You don't understand. You don't understand what's going on. Sorry. You know, sorry, but not sorry. I'm just being real, guys. You know what I mean? So, you know, make of that as you will. Okay? Make of that as you will, yeah? All right, so there, I'm parked. He says, LOL, at live stream, dude is talking to 4 people. He says, oh, bitch, I'm from Citrus Heights. Okay, well, there you go. That's a little bit different. You know what I mean? Okay, so you do understand. So you do understand. He says, meet me in Roseville. Meet you in Roseville. What part of Roseville? I haven't been to Roseville in God knows how long. 4 people, listen, you know, I stream to literally, this is, my dude, See, this is another thing. You don't understand streaming, bro. You don't understand streaming. Earlier, there was 42 people in here concurrent. There's a total of like 3,000. Look, I'm banning you. I'm banning you. That's it, bro. I'm not doing this with you, bro. You know what I mean? You're a complete idiot. You obviously don't understand what is going on. You know what I mean? There it is. You're banned. Boom. You're banned. You're up out of here. You know what I mean? Talking about, I'm going to meet you in Roseville. Why the hell am I going to meet you in Roseville? You know what I mean? Like, and then this dude is over here trying to talk about what streaming is or what isn't or this and that. Like, fool, this has 3,000 views already. What are we talking about? What are we even talking about? This already has 3,000 views. So what the hell are you talking about? You don't know what you're talking about, man. I'm not going to talk to people that don't understand streaming, bro. Like, what are you even saying? Yeah, facts, Mark Haney. You're right about that. Yeah. Don't waste another breath in your defense to a piece of ish. Yeah, exactly, bro. You know what I mean? Talking about, oh, you know, you're driving while you're streaming. I'm like, well, dude, if it was such a problem, I wouldn't. Yeah, you're right. You're right. I don't. You know, you don't need to explain anything to, you know, no peasants, right? You know what I mean? That's really what it comes down to, man. You know, you don't got to explain nothing to them. All right, so here it is now. I'm parked now. Right? Are you happy now? I'm not parked because you told me to. I'm parked because I'm at the destination where I need to be, and that's really all there is to it. So, you know, what is your complaint now? Like, that's the thing, man. People, he says, don't cast your pearls to swine. Ooh, I like that. I like that, man. You know, a bit of a Muslim reference there, you know what I mean? Considering that, like, you know, I don't eat swine and all that. But yeah, man, yeah, facts on that, man. Yeah, dude, man. Hey, Mark, are you gonna watch UFC London this weekend? Who you got between Movzar and LaRon Murphy? Man, you know, I'm really excited for that one because I really like both guys, man. I really like both guys. I really like both guys, man. You know, what do you call it? They're both undefeated. Both could get a title shot out of this. Yeah, both of them could really get a title shot out of this, man. You know what I mean? That's something to look forward to. You know, these guys could definitely get a title shot out of this. I can't wait for that one, man. Yeah, I really can't wait for that fight. Bunch of nobodies, you know, trying to tell me what to do. What is wrong with you, bro? You know what I mean? Talking about, oh, you can't drive while streaming. Call the cops, man. Call the cops. Like, straight up, man. Y'all give me some snitch vibes, man. Like, ooh, you're streaming while you're driving. Punk ass bitch. He says, I don't know, man. That's a tough one for me. I think Mozart, though. You know what I predicted on that one? My official prediction for that one is a draw. I got that one on a draw, actually. Like, I feel like that is going to end in a draw because they are just so evenly matched that I don't see how this is going to go any other way. By the way, Mark, I'm in Broderick right now, right? I'm in a North Daniel neighborhood right now. You know, this is a North Day neighborhood right here. This is Broderick, you know, the world famous Broderick, right? Where that rapper Rico Too Smooth is from. This is where I'm at right now. You know, but obviously, you know, it's in the middle of the day. There are no homies that are out right now. But yeah. Yeah, this is their hood right here. You know, this is the world famous Broderick. You know, the Norte Vario, Holmes. Yeah, man, what's up with Lefty Gunplay, bro? How did Lefty Gunplay get a Grammy, right? Like, I feel like Kendrick could have put anybody on that track and they would have won a Grammy. I just felt like Lefty got a Grammy just based on a default. You know what I mean? Like, he didn't even know what was going on. Lefty is like the Joe Biden of the rap game. Like, huh? What's going on? Scary, crazy, spooky, hilarious. Crazy, scary, spooky, hilarious. And it's like Kendrick said to him, he's like, listen, all you got to do is just say these lines, okay? Crazy, scary, spooky, hilarious. Okay, Kendrick's like, now repeat after me, Lefty. All right? Listen, this is all you got to say. Scary, crazy, spooky, hilarious. Can you say that? Lefty's like, oh yeah, crazy, scary, spooky, hilarious. Crazy, scary, spooky, hilarious. All right, good, Lefty, that's it. Yeah. Lefty Gunplay. It's Lefty Gunplay. Yeah, he did that interview with Fat Joe and Jada Kiss. That was pretty cool, right? That was pretty cool. What's his name? Fat Joe said that he didn't want to mention his rapper's name, but he was like a legend in the Chicano rap scene. And he said he came out to New York with Fat Joe, and Fat Joe was hanging out with some black people, and then that I'm thinking he's probably a South Sider, right? But he said to Fat Joe, he's like, yeah, man, you know, we don't mess with the blacks where we from, homie. You know what I mean? But yeah, really interesting interview there. Jada Kiss and Fat Joe. That's a bit of a strange podcasting combo, right? I've never seen anything like that. But yeah, going back to the fights, man. Yeah, that's a tough one for me as well, man. I'm going with Movzar, but I think that fight is going to end in a draw as well. I have a feeling that fight will end in a draw. Like, there's good reason to believe that fight could end in a draw, for sure, because they're so closely matched with each other, right? You know that it is a strong possibility. So yeah, man. Yeah. Let's see. I think we'll go for about another 15 minutes or so, right? You know, I'm gonna try to tie this into like 3 hours in total. You know, because right now I got about how many? What is it? 160 minutes right now. So 180 makes it 3 hours. Yeah. So that's what we'll do. We'll wait. Yeah, he says, are you talking about the touchy-feely fight? The touchy-feely fight. Oh, no, not the Andre Feely fight. No. I'm talking about the Movzar and the Laron Murphy fight. I think that fight is this weekend. Yeah, it is this weekend, actually. Yeah, it's a London card, so you know it's going to be, you know, in the morning time, which is cool because yeah, we could stream it, you know, very early on. I believe the fight starts at like 9 o'clock in the morning. And the main card doesn't start until like 11. So it's an 11 a.m. Fight card time. Main card. And then the prelims start right around 9 a.m. So that's going to be fun right there, man. A 9 a.m. Card. That's why I love the London cards, bro. I really appreciate the London cards for this reason. You know? But yeah, it's going to be exciting. There hasn't been a lot of exciting boxing matches going on as of late, right? You know, boxing hasn't really, you know, been producing a lot of really exciting fights. You know, Ryan Garcia and the Barrios fight, you know, was the last one. And then, you know, the most looked forward to fight, obviously, is going to be with Manny Pacquiao and Floyd Mayweather. So, I wonder how that's going to end, man. You know what? I like the chances of Manny Pacquiao in that fight. You know, and I'm not saying this because I'm half Filipino or anything like that. You know, in all honesty, you know, I kind of don't like Manny Pacquiao, but, you know, just being objective about it, you know? You know what I mean? So. Yeah, dude, yes, I'm half Filipino. That's where, yeah, that's where the, you know, Asian boys connection comes from. You know, from Stockton, 8th Street. That's where that connection comes from, you know? So, yeah. You know, they weren't just going to let any, you know, random Arab, you know, in the crew like that, you know what I mean? Like, but yeah, you know, what's up, twin? What up, twin? Why, you're half Filipino too? Or are you full Mexican? Yeah, man, there's I never met a Filipino Norte ever. Like, I've met a Filipino Southsider. That was kind of weird. You know, they, like, you know, hey, ese, you know, hey, Holmes, you know what I mean? Like, you know, that straight Cholo talk from a Filipino, it was kind of weird, you know what I mean? But, yeah, I've never met a Filipino Northerner before. Not even in Stockton. I'm sure there are, but I never ran across them. I'm half Irish, a quarter Filipino, and a quarter Mexican. Dude, you know what, man? Yo, a lot of Nortes have a lot of mixed race dudes. Like that dude, Bands, right? That dude, Bands, is, I think, half Greek and half... No, he's not even Mexican. I think he's, like, half Greek and Italian or something like that. But yeah, man, you know, even some Southsiders, man, there's not a lot of... You know, some Southsiders are not even, you know, fully Mexican, like... Capone, you know, that dude is a straight Southsider, but he's Pakistani. Oh, by the way, he has a picture of him and Khabib doing Hajj recently. You know, he was in Mecca recently, you know, doing Hajj with Khabib. Yeah, I tell everyone I'm a green bean. Yeah, that is what it's classified as, right? You're classified as a green bean if you're half Irish and Mexican. And then you're a quarter Filipino. That's kind of cool, man. You know what I mean? So yeah, I had no idea you were part Filipino as well. You know, I just assumed, like, all right, you know, you're a Northerner, you know, you're full Mexican, but, you know, again, a lot of Northerners are not even full Mexican. You know what I mean? Which is crazy. Yo, you know what? Even Lefty Gunplay isn't even Mexican at all. There's nothing Mexican about that dude. That dude is straight Guatemalan and half white. You know, hence his last name, Frank Holiday. But then again, you know, the last name Haney, that kind of makes sense, right? Because I'm like, wait, you know, Haney isn't really a Hispanic name. You know, it's not really a Hispanic name. So, you know, I started thinking, like, okay, you know, maybe he's not, you know, like, yeah, he's not, what do you call it? He's not full Mexican, but I never put two and two together. Now that you tell me that, yeah, that makes sense, man. So, yeah, so I'm assuming you're probably celebrating St. Patrick's Day today, right? I'm assuming it's like St. Patrick's Day for you today, right? Yeah, well, I don't know why they don't have any parades in Sacramento for St. Patrick's Day. You know, which is kind of weird, right? You know, do they have any St. Patrick's Day parade in the Bay Area? Or maybe LA, maybe they have some in LA, or, you know, how about Fresno? You know, yeah, he says, man, I don't celebrate that ish. I don't drink like that. Yeah, you know what it is, man? St. Patrick's Day is really for drinkers, right? Even for people who are not Irish. You know, like, I'll be seeing black homies, like, you know, drink on St. Patrick's Day. Like, yeah, we're gonna drink like the Irish. Or, man, you're just, you know, trying to find a reason to drink anyway. You know what I mean? Like, you know, you know dang well you don't care about no Irish, or, you know, or their cause of fighting Great Britain or anything like that. You just want to drink because it's what the Irish do. You know, they just have this, you know, really deep drinking culture. You know, nothing more to it than that, right? You know, it's just, you know, homies just want to drink, you know, but that's really what all that celebration is. You know, but by the end of the day, I mean, obviously, you know, I don't celebrate that either, because as a Muslim, it's, you know, it's a pagan, you know, holiday. So, you know, we don't really, you know, mess with it like that. But yeah, Yeah, I hear you, though. He says the Irish can drink, brother. They definitely can, man. You know, the Irish stay with, drinking. But you know what, man? This is also the reason why a lot of the women in Ireland have, fetal alcohol, diseases with their babies, right? You know, their babies come out, in bad shape sometimes because of that. So do Germans, right? And so do the Russians. So do the Germans, Mark Haney said, and so do the Russians. Mr. Good Citizen says, hey, Mr. Good Citizen, man, shout outs to you, my man. Yeah, Mr. Good Citizen, I'm Mr. Bad Citizen. I'm a bad citizen, yeah. Yeah. Hold on. Get out of my way, bitch. Come on. You see this traffic going on here, man. You don't watch yourself there. He says, fetal alcohol syndrome. Yes, that's what it's, that's the official title of it. Yes, correct. Fetal alcohol syndrome. Yep, that is the official title of it. Yes, fetal alcohol syndrome. That's what they say Conor McGregor has going on. You know, but I don't know how accurate that is. But it kind of explains his outrageously aggressive behavior. He says, you got Nate or Perry, Kyrie? I got Mike Perry. I think Mike Perry is the much more well-rounded mixed martial artist, believe it or not. But Nate is a submission specialist, right? Now, when it comes to boxing, they are dead even. But here's the thing, Mike Perry is actually a better wrestler than Nate. I think he's a way better wrestler than Nate. That's the crazy part about it. Much better wrestler than Nate. So it's going to be really interesting to see how they are going to come up out of that fight. Yeah, it's going to be really interesting to see what they're going to do with that fight, man. He says Nate's like 41 or 42 now. 41. Yeah, he's 41 years old. Yeah, we're the same age, me and Nate. So, you know, I'm about to be, I'm 40 right now, going on 41. But yeah, 85ers, Yeah, Diaz is too old now. It depends. It depends on the competition that you put in front of him. D-Man says, in bare-knuckle boxing, Mike gets him. In MMA, I think Nate gets him. Yeah, and you know what? That's what makes this fight intriguing, right? Because you got Nate Diaz, who right now has been inactive, right? He's been inactive. I think it was like 4 years ago was the last time that he fought. If you really put that in perspective, 4 years ago. Mike Perry has been inactive with MMA, but he's been active with bare-knuckle boxing. So, we'll see how that, somehow, falls into place. He says, I'm an 85 or 2. Yup, best generation ever. Mark Haney says, blasphemy. Must support the homie Nate. Man, I would love to, but I don't know, man. I just feel like, again, it's a 50-50 fight, man. It's a 50-50 fight. His inactivity, could cause him this fight. Although Mike Perry was also inactive in MMA, but was active in bare knuckles, so that kind of helps him out a little bit. Good Citizen says, I'd support Diaz, but I've got to be realistic. Yeah, I think that's kind of where my pick is is at with that one, right? I mean, obviously a Stockton guy. I'm a Stockton guy. But at the same time, the reality is it's going to be a hard fight for him. Yeah, Youth goes to Perry. That's another thing too. That's another thing. Yes, Youth is definitely on his side on that one. So, we'll see how that plays out with, with Youth being on his side and all that, man, yeah, really interesting times, man. Really interesting times ahead. Yeah, and you know what? I did a live stream on this a couple of hours ago, right? You know, with Nate Diaz and Mike Perry. Go check it out, right? There's other fights that were added in there too. There's Gable Stevenson taking on Junior Dos Santos. Okay, as if that card couldn't get any bigger, right? As if that couldn't get any more awesome. He says, what organization is that fight for? Jake Paul's organization. They're going to fight for Jake Paul's organization MVP, and that is going to be on the card of Ronda Rousey and Gina Carano, same card as Francis Ngannou and Felipe Lenz. So yeah, it's going to be MVP MMA promotion, because as you know, MVP is a boxing promotion under Jake Paul. Now it's going to become an MMA component. They're going to have an MMA component to the organization. D-Man said they should have Nick Diaz versus Frank Shamrock. They did fight. You mean a rematch? You got to specify that, D-Man. So, yeah, when they fought once, yeah, you know, to kind of do it again. Nick doesn't have it in him anymore. Yeah, Nick is he's way older now, and on top of that, there's just a lot of mental, you know, issues that are going on. Yeah, rematch on that card. Yeah, but Frank Shamrock is way older, but I would reckon that would give Nate Diaz, you know, a clear and distinct advantage. Yeah, I think that's what it would do. It'd give him a clear and distinct advantage. Cole Old says, Team Hammer House, Mark Coleman, and Kevin Randleman, those guys did all the steroids, right? And it cost them dearly, right? It cost the life of Kevin Randleman as a result of that. Yeah, Nick was so much better than Nate, though. I loved his fights. Yup. And then eventually it was Nate that became the bigger star, and then eventually it was Nate that became the better fighter. All right, guys, listen, that is all that I have for this one right now. A little recap on the show, right? In the beginning of the show, I told you guys about Tucker Carlson and his involvement right now with a CIA investigation as they sent it over to the DOJ to investigate him, right? The other component of this live stream, we talked about Ronda Rousey having a go at the UFC, starting a fighter's revolution. Also, we talked about the UFC's White House card in trouble right now because they are having trouble getting a permit from the Washington, D.C. Commission, right? There's a lot of troubles going on with that, trying to give it a permit, because it is being done on federal land and they are not getting the right oversight that the commission needs. So as a result of that, they may turn this fights into an exhibition. Now, what exactly does that mean for the title fights and the record? Well, it's not going to go under record. So that is what we got for this one right now. And then we talked about the MVP card. We talked about a whole bunch of fights. We talked about fights, period. So we talked about politics and MMA as usual. With that in mind, don't forget to like and subscribe. That has been my 3 hours with you guys. I will see you in the next one, inshallah.